My name is Morgan Shepard. I'm a ninth grade ELA teacher at Veterans Memorial Academy in San Benito, Texas. I'm going to talk to you all a little bit today about one of what I think is my biggest TAL strength, and that is investing students and goal setting. One of the ways that I do this in my classroom is actually behind me right now. One of the ways that I help students goal set and help to set the mindset in my classroom is by using a quote very often that is at the front of the classroom. Students see it every day when they come in. And that quote is, "We choose to work hard so that we can make our own choices." Um, this is a quote we live by in my class, and it's a quote us in many different ways as we continue to learn every day. In addition to using the quote that's at the front of the classroom, the way in which I'm able to invest my students in goal setting is to include my students in setting actual goals. Behind me, you will see where I post my big goal corner in my classroom. It is in the front corner, and there are a list of 3 goals that my students and I set together as a team and as a family. Above me, you guys can see the ways in which we track our progress toward our big goal, because part of our goal is a reading goal, and so we use the book chains above my head in order for us to track our progress as a class. So our goals, we have 3 of them. Our goals are, um, first, that each member of the fam, my classroom is called the fam because we're a big family, will finish the amazing book race. The book chains that you see above me and off to the side here are part of what we call the amazing book race. It's the race for each student to read 1,000 pages. My students and I decided that we wanted to fight ignorance. In order to fight ignorance, one needed to be able to read very well and love reading. And we decided that a good number for people who love reading, a good number that encourages us to read as much as we can and push ourselves, is to read 1,000 pages each for the entire year. Our second goal as a family was a tax goal, and it says that 100% of the fam, 100% of students in this class are going to pass the tax. The third goal that we set together is that every member of the family will create an autobiographical anthology. So students have every unit to create some sort of autobiographical work about them, showing that they learned whatever part of literature we studied and also were able to apply it to their own lives. So those are the ways in which I'm able to invest students in their goals and also have them constantly growing from the goals.
How did your sense of possibility play a role in what you accomplished with your students?
Behind me, you all can see our family library. We call it the Lives. That's our nickname for it. At the beginning of the year, I started with 2 rows of books, and I really wanted to get my students interested in learning. And so I thought, how can I, or in reading, how can I get my students interested in reading? How can I get them to love reading? And the solution that I came up with was to get books that appealed to my students. And to do this, I had to go through many different avenues. I found websites that gave books away for free to specific groups of young people. I appealed to family members and friends to send me books. Other teachers in the school who weren't using books that they had, I had them donate books to our family library. And then I invested my students in helping me to organize the library. I had them help me come up with categories that would be interesting categories. Help me come up with ways of ordering the books and organizing the books so that the students would understand, so that would be a student-friendly library, and also so that students could feel like they had put some effort into it and therefore wanted to participate in the product that they created. Um, you all saw the book chains for the amazing book race at the front of the classroom, and so the library that has grown behind me into what is lovely 4 shelves that I enjoy every day just coming in to look at. It's really motivated my students, I think, to read way more than they ever have. And the proof that we see is in the way that students continue to participate in the amazing book race, continue to add to their book chains, and are continuing to add to their book logs.
What mindsets do you have to hold in order to accomplish what you do with your students?
I think the mindset that's most important is that you remember that anything is necessary and anything is possible to help students achieve what they, achieve the goals that they set for themselves and also the goals that you set for them. What I try to have my students live by and what I also try to live by, it's extremely challenging, but it's something I learned when I was younger, when I was in high school, is that there's a law of rising averages. It says that every time you achieve at one level, that level becomes the norm. That level becomes, average. And after that, you have to continuously do better and better and better so that you don't stay stagnant, so that you don't, plateau. Once I can see that my students make, a 75 in my class, if they make 75 again, well, no, I know you can make an 80. I've seen you make a 75. Show me you can make an 80. I know you can do that. So that's the way that I approach my students. That's the mindset that I come in with in my classroom. It's that, yes, my students choose to work hard every day, but each day we have to choose to work a little bit harder, and that'll get us a little bit further, a little bit closer to where we need to be.
What do high expectations mean in your classroom?
For me, high expectations are important because I set high expectations for myself as a teacher, and so I also think it's important to set high expectations for the students. It's important for me, and I've spoken about, a family environment in my classroom. It's important for me to make sure that, just like I'm holding my students to high expectations, they hold me to high expectations as well. If I make a mistake on the board, if I make a mistake while speaking, a grammatical error of some kind, then I expect for my students to respectfully, help me to fix my error. And in the same way, I do the same thing for my students. And so we learn from each other, we teach each other, and we hold each other to a standard of performance in class. It is not acceptable, for example, for a student not to write their name on a paper or not to answer a question in a sentence. These are all things that are norms in my class. And those expectations, I think, translate ultimately into my students putting forth more effort and paying more attention to what it is they do. They take more pride in the work that they produce when they know that there is a higher expectation. Their work needs to be perfect when they hand it in. Their work needs to be just so because they know what the expectations are in Ms. Shepard's class. I think it's important that those high standards be set so that they know how to continue to set high standards for themselves after they leave my class. My students know what they are capable of. Even if they say that they can't in the beginning, I can't read this story, it's too hard, I can't understand what this poem is saying, I'm not going to be able to write this essay. As much as they struggle through an assignment or through a task, at the end of it, when they come out on the other side successful, that's one more notch, the student knows in their belt, well, I can do this thing, I can do that thing. And so when they move on to the 10th grade, hopefully to the 11th and the 12th, and after that college, my students will know what they can achieve and be more motivated to do it on their own.